Welcome to the porch today. I'm Shannon Berkelback, and I have the pleasure of being with Dr. James Woodley today at his place. It's actually in Hempstead, it's still part of Waller County. And so I just thought he would have some interesting stories. I just grew up with, you were my first vet that I had with my first horse when I moved to Waller, and probably have lots of interesting stories. But I guess let's just start with like how you ended up in Hempstead.
I moved here in 1970. I'd been in Sealy for a year, and Dr. Buchanan from Navasota had purchased a practice here in Hempstead from Dr. Cadenhead, and he needed somebody over here, and so that's how I got here. But I grew up in Belleville, or grew up between Hempstead and Belleville, and went to high school in Belleville, and I practiced in Sealy, like I say, a year or so before I moved here. But I had family ties to Waller County and Hempstead in particular. My mother grew up in Hempstead, and my grandfather, he was born in 1875, he came to Hempstead after he got out of the Army in the Spanish-American War.
Oh, wow.
And he came to Hempstead, well, he was over in the Philippines, and then he came, when he got out of the Army, he came to Hempstead. His uncle, he stopped here in Hempstead, his uncle had a saloon, and he got a job as a bartender there, and then he stayed, and the rest of the family came from Georgia. And of course he married, and he ended up and had a grocery store and ran cows and everything. But anyhow, that's kind of my family history of Waller County.
Cool. So why did you decide to stay here though? Because you could have went somewhere different in a small town. Well,
you know, it was not easy to start with. It was 90%, over 90% large animal work, and there was less than 15,000 people in Waller County at that time. Now it's over 60, I think, and you know, it was mostly farm calls, and we went to, well, it was a lot, just mainly farms, you know, farms and ranches, and I did some small animal work, but you know, mostly it was large animal work, and I was out on the road a lot. I made lots of calls out to Field Store area, the Monaville area, and all the way to Hockley and towards Cypress, and all over the country, wherever somebody called. And then, of course, there were the hours were, it was basically 7 days a week and on call 24 hours a day, and so it was kind of tough on the family.
Yeah, and you didn't have much help back then, did you?
Well, I was by myself for a number of years, and I've had some other veterinarians off and on that have worked with me, and then they've come and gone. But anyhow, that was, and then in 1979, opened an office in Waller, because I was getting a lot of people from Waller. And then in about mid-80s, 85 or 86, when the new shopping center was built on 2920, where Orleans is, well, I moved my office in Waller there, and then it's been there ever since. Actually, it's still there.
Yeah. So. And I've actually been there with one of my cats. Barn cat got stepped on by a horse and broke its leg, you know, country things that happen.
Yeah.
And you know, that's expensive surgery to fix that back leg. And so one of your vets that you had working for you at that time actually made a nice little sling, kind of a little temporary cast thing, and it worked. Had to keep that barn cat inside for 6 weeks, but it did work to be able to say, I'm not spending that much money on a barn cat. And well, she's still alive today. Yeah, she's like 20 years old.
Wow. Well, that's one of the things about being in the country. You have to improvise a lot of things. And when I came here, and it may still that way to a big extent, Hempstead was not a rich town. You know, we were just working people. You know, it was, you know, we were not, like I say, it was just everyday people. That's what I like. You know, that was probably one of the main things I love about Waller County and Hempstead are the people. I still have some clients coming, they're fourth generation clients, and some of them, their great grandmother or something, well, I used to take care of their animals or cats, and they were young enough they didn't remember them. So, you know, I mean, it's kind of a neat thing when you have second, third generation clients, and I consider people like that not just clients but friends. You know, that's what makes it special.
Right. And I agree, because I feel like now if you go to a vet in Houston, that sometimes you don't even see the vet. The vet techs come in and do everything, and then they take your pet to the back, and then the vet might come in at the end and have your diagnosis or your thing, and you have 5 minutes with them. And now it's like, I feel like you were more about connecting community. When you're out there working cattle, you're talking and telling stories and laughing, and you're there long-term appointment, where now they're just in and out, just like the medical field for humans too. In and out, no relationship.
Well, society has changed a lot, and that's one of the sad things I see. The families, we had the families back then, they'd been around, most of them had been around Waller County for a long time, or a lot of them, and some of them, and they still are, but there's so many other people have moved in. New people, they're good people, but you know, it's these people that they were just the salt of the earth, you might say, the farmers and the ranchers who were here, you know, have been here for many years when I came, and still are. You know, some of the problem is now, of course, with the developments that the big ranches, most of them are gone, and the farming is pretty well gone too. But it's a lot less. You know, the amount of farmland has shrunk so much, and the economics of farming too has changed too, where you don't have the small farms, and you know, there used to be dairies around. I did a lot of dairy work, and there are no dairies left, and so I did large animal work for about 50 years or over 50 years, and whenever I sold my practice about 5 years ago, that was retired from large animal, basically. You know, I have had enough beat up joints and injuries over the years. I'm not as, and then there are not as many large animal places to go around here too. So anyhow, it's all changed, but time goes on.
So I'm just curious, like how, as it's growing, because we have 65,000 or something like that is what our population is in Waller County, and there's supposedly like 90,000 houses in development. Like, so how do we stay connected? How do we keep the small town feel? Do you have any thoughts?
Well,
the conversations to keep having.
Well,
these.
You know, I mean, things are changing fast. They're really extremely fast in Waller County now. I think we've got an unprecedented growth of more than, well, this is one of the fastest growing areas in the United States. So, you know, it's, and there are people moving in, and you know, a lot of them are looking to go to the country. Well, it won't be country long at the rate it's going, and sadly, I've got some long-time clients who have sold their land and moved away because it was getting too crowded. You know, I mean, that's, you know, this is life. It's a constant change. Nothing stays the same.
I just think a lot of people that are moving in are just busy, and they don't slow down to connect with the community. So I just kind of want them to find ways. I mean, I know we catch up at breakfast or Aggie muster, or we just
Yeah.
have events that we will see each other, and we have some new restaurants maybe that you hang out
Yeah.
at and have events like that. But
Well, most of these people are either working at home, working. They have no ties to the community that are moving in, and when there's so many people moving in, and they're distracted, they've got their own world they live in, and this is a bedroom community to them,
right.
and I don't know how, unless they want to get involved in the local communities with the civic organizations, which have been struggling because the membership has dropped because people are so busy that new people are not joining, and the members there are getting old and not able to do a lot of things.
Right.
And the Lions Club in Hempstead, when I was there young, it had probably 50 active members. Now, and I'm not an active member. I'm still working, so they have their meetings when I work. But
Right.
it's small, but they're still going. The Waller Lions Club is no longer, and they used to be very active. And it takes people to get involved to keep this. And if people don't want to get involved or don't try to get involved,
I'm thinking, just because we're talking animals, the animals are usually still a good connection. So maybe at least the ag shows, the county shows, if they have an animal they're raising and learning about, that's going to make you slow down because you have to take care of them.
yes,
And then
well,
make you at least get together.
But that's the people with children, and they're they get, if they would. And another thing is, if the people that have children in school, if they would try to get involved with things at the school, they will meet a lot of people that way. And usually they'll meet a lot of nice people because they're the ones that care. They're the ones that care about their kids and the education. And I think it would be, people need to get involved, go to support the things at the schools, whether it's not only sports but other events, and support the children in school and encourage them, and support the teachers because they've got a tough job. And
Definitely. I signed up to substitute teach since I don't have kids now either. I thought, well, just to be more involved and more in touch. Everybody's like, you're brave to go substitute. I haven't done it yet, but I would really like to do the ag department because I do know, I've been in the soil science class. I've raised almost every kind of animal, and I feel like I can, in ag leadership, I've done a lot of those things. So I felt like it was something I could substitute and get involved and be in there, but I haven't done it yet. So
that would be
pray for me.
that would be something good to do. But the parents, if they, of course, I realize so many of the parents nowadays, both of them are working full time, and it's tough raising a family. But it takes being involved, and that was one of the things that, being in a small town, and I knew a lot of people here in town, and we knew who the teachers were. We knew a lot of the kids and their parents, and that was because Hempstead school classes were pretty small. They weren't hundreds of kids in a class. They were,
Right.
And you knew who their friends were, and which is important to know who your kids' friends are. And
Accountability,
yes, and see that they are, and I was fortunate. My kids were good kids. They didn't get into any trouble that I'm aware of, and both of them are your age and older. I'd say probably older. I don't know, but anyhow, they've got children and out of high school now, and both of them went to, well, they ended up went to A&M, and actually both of them are CPAs. They decided they didn't want to do what I did, so.
They saw how hard you worked. So I give riding lessons, and I have all these kids come out and they're like, I want to be a vet. I love horses. And I'm like, are you sure? Let's look what a day in the life of a vet looks like. And I'm like, maybe you just need to make really good money so you can have your horse, and I'll teach you how to take care of it, vet tech stuff yourself as much as possible. But because it is hard work.
Yeah. One of the things is, like animals, well, you have to like people, because they're the ones that own the animals. If you don't like people, you have a problem.
Well, and the people may not be able to afford what you want them to do, and it's hard because you think what's best for the pet.
Yes.
And then they can't, and so it's really hard if you love animals for them to say, no, I can't afford to doctor them. It's
you know, medicine is expensive, and it's gotten a lot more expensive now, and it's appalling how much some of the drugs cost us now, that we have the newer drugs, and you know, for a little bottle it's $400 for a small bottle of antibiotics, and you know, it's just mind-boggling. You know, it's to me even, and so.
I'm pretty passionate about more alternative. I do essential oils and stuff. So actually the vet I work with now, we do a lot of natural antibiotics. So they're a lot less expensive if you just get on it as soon as you notice.
Yeah. Well, that's with anything. Of course, if you get on it early and take care of it before it gets to be a big problem. I don't care what it is. It doesn't have to be medicine. Any other problem.
True.
You get on it right away and take care of it, and then an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, as I say. So.
Well, do you have any fun stories of all your years as a vet that you would want to share, that maybe life lesson for everyone that needs to hear, something you learned from a crazy story?
I can remember going to a place to treat a sick cow for a fella, and he had a big cow, crossbred cow, and a calf in a little shed, a little pen with a lean-to shed, and the fence was pretty rotten. And I think the only strong post was the gate was hanging on it, and it was a railroad tie, and I had a high school kid with me, so there was no chute, so I roped the cow, and she ran around, and the calf was about 400 pounds, and he jumped into the fence and knocked the fence down, and the cow the cow ran under the shed, and there was a post under the shed, and broke the post down, and the shed fell down, and then the calf jumped into the fence and knocked it down, and we managed to get a wrap on the fence post, the gate post, and then the cow jumped into the gate and knocked it off the hinges, and I think we had the cow choked down before we could get her down, and anyhow we treated her and turned her loose, but you know, that was
expensive?
A disaster. I mean, it was kind of a comical in a way, because you know, the whole place was a wreck when we got through, but that was,
oh my goodness,
that
was
almost
an expensive vet
45 or 50 years ago, so you know.
Have to rebuild the shed, buy a new gate.
Yeah, but it was
build a new fence.
It was not in good shape to start with. Things were pretty rotten, you know, in disrepair anyhow. But anyhow, you know, you run into a few things like that occasionally. That kind of stands out. But anyhow,
I think you're brave to work with cows anyway. I've worked cows some with my dad, and I don't really like cows.
Well, working with large animals it can be dangerous work if you are not careful, and safety is one of the big things that you always have to be aware of, and that's one thing I've always tried to. I grew up working cattle. I grew up on a ranch, and so I've seen what they can do, and I've been fortunate. I haven't been hurt seriously. I've had, usually when it was either I got mad and something happened, or there was a equipment failure, or
right.
Or something like that. But I have seen some serious injuries to people, and and horses, stuff like that, with cattle. You know, but
Yeah, when I built my new place, I made sure to build a chute for my horses too, so I could have that as a
yeah,
plan, and the vet can come to me, and
yeah,
I can do.
yeah. You need to. Yeah, I think that's very important because it has safety is. It's no fun to get hurt.
Yeah, they have these
and
new.
that takes, you know, and well, you know, it isn't worth getting hurt over.
Right. I was just thinking how they have all these new traveling working pins now that they just
Yeah.
carry out to all the different fields.
Yeah,
and
those
stuff.
are nice. You know, that's something that's come along since I did a lot of large animal work. But
So there is some good technologies,
yes,
good things coming out.
okay, but you know, but it's been a lot of changes there, but the people here, I think, of what has made it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it wasn't for the people, you know, I'd probably moved on to go somewhere else a long time ago, many
Right.
years ago. But you know, this is home.
Right. I agree. Well, thanks for sharing your story with us. We appreciate, you know, getting to know you. Those that are coming new to town, hopefully they'll get to meet some of the people that you've met, get to meet you at a breakfast or some
Okay.
event. And anyway,
Okay.
thanks for coming to the porch, and
All right.
we'll see you next time.